Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name is Matt.
My name is Dyl, and we're back after, a few slower weeks because we have lives. Stuff gets in the way. Matt is at film school. I have
Yeah.
work and various other things getting in the way, but we're back. We've both now seen one battle after another, and we're back to do some Oscar acting predictions.
Yeah, it's been a while. A lot has changed. I feel like at this point, most years, we've seen a lot more than we have right now. But I mean, we've seen the Best Picture winner. That's what counts.
And before we can continue with our updated post-festival acting predictions, I want to give a shout out to a member of our Discord community in which you can join via the link down below. While, we don't have any channel memberships here on YouTube that you can pay to be a part of like Patreon or anything, we do love interacting with all of our subscribers and all of our fellow Oscar enthusiasts out there. If you want to grow your role as a member of the Filmball community, consider joining that Discord link down below. Matt and myself discuss awards alongside everyone else in that server basically all day long. But let's give a shout out to Barris out there because they started up a community Best Picture Awards expert page which essentially polls our Filmball community and what they essentially have as their 10 Best Picture nominees and the first films out. So if you want to join to become a part of that ranking or just chat with all of us in a fun, enjoyable environment, or even join the game of Filmball, we have leaks for both award season and box office, which will continue throughout the whole year. The link is right down below in the description box. And while I'm on this little self-promo plug, I like a comment, a subscription, that normal stuff that helps the YouTube algorithm and continues to grow this channel is much appreciated. But Matt, enough rambling. Where should we start our acting predictions here today?
But today, talking about these acting predictions, instead of doing our normal thing where we start at actress and sort of go through each of the categories, I kind of want to go from the most competitive categories to the ones that are just a cakewalk to predict. So for me, I think the one where you and I are going to differ the most and where really anything can happen, that's supporting actor. So let's talk about that one first. This feels like the category to me that has the most going on, has the most variables. So, Dylan, where are you at with this category right now?
Yeah, and I think with doing this new interesting turn of how to go about these categories, I think we should break down these categories in terms of who we think can win, who we feel like is in the hunt for the nomination, and then who we think are the outside ones looking in who could potentially pull out a spoiler based off of their reactions, whether with critics or with the industry. But in terms of a win, I am on the Sean Penn train at this moment. Yes, he's already won two, but he won two pretty closely a while ago, and he hasn't been nominated since. So they've had time to get off the Sean Penn train. They can come back now, and if one battle after another is going to be this giant industry sweeper, winning Best Picture everywhere, dominating the critic circuit, I don't see why he can't come along with him being one of, if not the most showy performance inside of the movie, him having some of the most scene-stealing moments inside of one battle after another. And I do understand your argument for the person that you'll say here in a second, since you have been saying this argument all year long. I just think it's going to come down to the stronger film and the performance that might click a little bit more with the industry out wide.
I don't know, man. I see Sean Penn is a win contender for sure. He's big. He's doing so much in the movie. But at the same time, and I say this with love, this is one of my favorite performances of the year. It is a caricature of a role. It is so big, so absurd. And I feel like we don't get a ton of winners that fall into that. Plus, he's going up against Stellan Skarsgård, who has the narrative we've been speaking about all year long. He is this long working, never acknowledged character actor. He is a legend within these Hollywood circles. And this is his time to shine. This is his moment. It's a beloved performance. It is the heart, the center of the film that he's in, which, although, yes, it might not be a Best Picture win contender as I thought it was before, it is still contending for multiple wins. And so it's not a weak film by any stretch of the imagination. To me, though, like Sean Penn right now is Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, a great big performance that I think will just end up getting something that is a little bit more subtle, a little bit more nuanced, and that's Stellan Skarsgård. But we can't write off the possibility of Paul Mescal with the steel chair. Paul Mescal has been getting rave reviews for his deeply emotional portrayal of William Shakespeare in Hamnet. Neither of us have seen Hamnet. We can't speak too much on what exactly his performance is doing, but he is lurking right there in that top three. And genuinely, I see an avenue for any of these three to take it. It's personally, I believe the top three in Best Picture, and it is going to be the most tough race, I believe, in our acting categories this year. This is going to be absolutely fierce between these three.
And I think the interesting thing with Mescal here is the fact that before, like a few weeks ago, there was a conversation: would he be lead? Would he be supporting? And at
Hmm.
least some screen time data has come out where he's in about 30% of the movies. So I think this is the smart choice to put him over in the supporting actor category due to that screen time percentage. And what we have heard, even though neither of us have seen the movie, like you said, is that he is getting raves that this is a career top performance, either his best or his second best after Sun. So I do think if Hamnet continues to remain the number two in the Best Picture race and maybe even hops over one battle after another at specific industry precursors like maybe the BAFTA or maybe the Golden Globe, maybe he can upset at those award shows and cement himself as either 1A or 1B instead of being the
Hmm.
number three in this race where he is currently.
Ultimately, I think that he is going to suffer just from being young, from this being only his second nomination. I do really feel like the fact that he's going up against two industry titans in Stellan Skarsgård and Sean Penn, I think that's going to knock him down quite a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if, despite him being incredibly strong, he doesn't really pick up any major wins through the season, and we see the big precursors split between Skarsgård and Penn. Um, I don't think we're going to get a sweep here, though. At one point, I would have said Stellan Skarsgård is a sweeper. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to be extremely contentious, a nail biter right to the very last moment.
If this category ends up being a split contender throughout the season, I'm actually looking forward to that because the last few years, both the supporting ones have just been sweepers, and you kind of know who the winner is by this
Hmm.
point in the season. I know we were late to the Karen Culkin train last year, but at large, Culkin was expected to dominate the season at this point. So if this category or supporting actress throws us some curves, I'm super looking forward to that. But here in supporting actor, I would say these are the three win contenders. And oddly enough, I think the 4 and 5 slots are pretty wide open. I wouldn't say someone's like, oh yeah, they're pretty locked for a nomination, but they're not going to win. Here, I think there you could get up to maybe 10 or so more names, and you could respect those answers with who people have in their 4 and 5 slots. So we have our top three. Matt, which one do you feel the most confident in at number four?
Only other person I would call almost a lock in the category, I wouldn't call him a lock, but almost a lock, is Benicio del Toro,
Mm-hmm.
which is a wild thing because a few weeks ago, I don't think that I could have even conceived that he would be in the running. Like, but seeing the movie, he's so, he's electric in this, and he. I mean, we talk about Stellan Skarsgård bringing the heart and sentimental value. I think Benicio del Toro brings the heart in one battle after another. I mean, there's obviously the narrative of the fact that he came up with the idea of his character being the sort of Latino Harriet Tubman running this underground railroad. That is a really great thing where he, like, as an actor, sort of steered the entire narrative of the film with that choice. But also, like, he's just so funny. He's so cool. He has this demeanor that just embodies the whole vibe of the movie, which is Big Lebowski. It's the Big Lebowski. And he sort of has this very dude-like chill energy to him, while Leo is bringing the frantic energy. Benicio del Toro, sort of, he's the vibe king of the season. So to me, I feel really good about him getting a nomination. I think that's an easy double nomination in our supporting category after we missed that last year. Um, but outside of Benicio del Toro, I don't know who else I would put in. I don't know who I'd call a lock.
I guess for Del Toro, the reason why I wouldn't put him as high as what you have him for is just the fact that I think his nomination solely comes off of how strong One Battle After Another is. If it remains our top dog, our number two inside the race, I think he gets an easy. But this is the type of performance that we see typically be the one on the outside looking in of the fun performance with limited screen time that the general audience typically loves, but the industry sometimes is a little bit slower to recognize. But I do agree, I do have him in my five at the moment due to the fact of how strong One Battle After Another is at this current moment. But the other person I would put in my top five at the moment is, I think, the only sight unseen contender that we have left in the supporting actor category, and as someone who I have been on the train for all season long of Jonathan Bailey and Wicked for Good. We know what this role should entail, at least going from the stage, which is a little bit more and a little bit more showy than what he had in Act One. He may not have the big show-stopping musical set piece, but there's a little bit more acting involved. We saw him got the SAG nomination last year, and at least after this first few days of Wicked tracking, the box office seems like it's going to be a lot higher than part one. So this could be a chance where this is maybe not passing Avatar, but being another close to $1 billion movie that we have in Best Picture. And if our supporting actor race is looking for another nomination, if Wicked is even stronger than it was last time, he has some extra stuff helping propel his acting nomination that typically this branch does like. I could see him slide into that fifth slot, but I could also see him just getting one precursor just like last year, where it's like, we recognize that you're doing something cool, but it's just not enough to get the nomination. But the thing I'm struggling for is who to really plug into that fifth spot instead, because we have people who have seen now Deliver Me From Nowhere and says Jeremy Strong is just whatever. We've seen people, I've seen Jay Kelly, and Sandler is not happening. If someone does happen, it's Billy Crudup, but he has like one scene, one really good scene, but one scene. Is this thing on just screen? Cooper's good, but again, pretty small. And then it's like, do we do Kevin O'Leary from Marty Supreme? So I think, for me at least, my fifth slot is between Bailey and Wicked, or either the Sinners guys, but we don't know which Sinners guy they're leaning more towards, and they both have massive negatives against them.
I feel like the thing that's going to keep hitting Sinners is it's just such an ensemble movie. It's such an ensemble movie. Who do you prioritize? And I feel like that vote splitting is going to really affect all of the supporting actors from that movie across both categories. So I hear you with Jonathan Bailey. I am a little bit nervous that perhaps his performance could be a little bit buried under the makeup that ends up being on his character. So I'm not going Jonathan Bailey. Instead, I'm taking a real leap here and going off of the buzz that I've heard from TIFF, going off the buzz that I've heard from every single person that sees Frankenstein and says Jacob Elordi is fucking fantastic. And he disappears into this role. And I know I just made a comment about Jonathan Bailey being buried under makeup. Jacob Elordi is also buried under makeup here, but every single person that I've encountered that's seen Frankenstein, even the ones who are colder on the movie, have been floored by what Elordi has done in this performance. So to me, the major drawbacks are the makeup and the voice changing in post. Otherwise, though, I mean, if Frankenstein is a top 10 contender in Best Picture, which I think we both agree it is. I know some people might still not be on that wavelength, but look, what does Netflix have? A House of Dynamite just released in theaters, and it has just plummeted in terms of its scores on all online platforms. It no longer has the crazy high Metacritic score that it had at Venice. It's just evened out to now only being like 4 or 5 points above Frankenstein, and people keep yelling Frankenstein is a critical flop. It has a higher score than Nightmare Alley, which got in best. It has a higher score on Metacritic than Nightmare Alley, which got into Best Picture. It came second place at the TIFF People's Choice Award, and it's going to be a huge technical nomination movie across the board. It's going to be in Best Picture, and if it's in Best Picture, I don't think it's that much of a reach to imagine that some of the actors will be in the conversation. And if we keep hearing Jacob Elordi's amazing, why not? Why not? In a category as thin as this, Why not? Because I agree with you. Adam Sandler, no, not happening. Not happening. Jeremy Strong, that character is absolutely nothing. So why not take a leap for a role that sounds crazy and fun and unique?
I definitely need to move Alordi up in my rankings because as you were talking there, I went back to the Netflix of it all, and at least the last few years, looking at their Best Picture nominees, with the exception of Don't Look Up, I think every one of their Best Picture nominees brought at least one acting nomination along with it. And Don't Look Up, you can argue, was a giant ensemble piece, and Leo was arguably number six that season. So, like, he was
Yeah.
still up there in the contention. So, I do think that if you are a J. Kelly believer, you should have a J. Kelly guy in there. If you're a Frankenstein believer, which I do have in Best Picture, I should at least have a Lordy a little bit higher than where I currently have him now. And if you're in the Dynamite train, haven't seen it yet, not sure what actor you would really plug from there to throw up in
No
your
one.
rankings. Um,
It's too much of an ensemble piece, and like no one in Dynamite stands out. You could make an argument for Idris, but I really don't think so. He shows up so late into the movie, and he doesn't do a whole lot, and then the movie is just finished. Dynamite is very good, by the way, but yeah, it's not an acting contender by any stretch of the imagination. There's no character developed enough for that.
so I guess my question to you is now that we're done with supporting actor, which category do you think is the most toughest? Do you think it's the potential win battle in a certain category, or is it just the major question mark of what is the field in another one?
I feel like let's keep with supporting because what is the field here? What the hell is going on with this category? As always, it feels like a yearly tradition that we look at supporting actress before the first precursor nominations and we go, eh? Uh, who? Who could? Who? Who's our winner? I don't know. Like even at this time last year, I think we were still up in the air. Could Zoe Saldana pull it off? I don't know. Like she ended up being a sweeper, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right until we got to that first moment. And right now, God, Dylan, like what feels right to you? I don't I don't know.
I mean, you can call this a homer pick, but I mean, I think Grande makes the most sense at this moment. I think the only thing that poses a red flag or reservation is the fact that she just got nominated for the same role last year. Granted, we know how different this character is in Act Two, which could be something that the acting branch and the Academy at large really recognizes, saying, hey, this isn't the same performance, it's the same character, but it's a new angle to it. But at the same time, I feel like that's a massive roadblock that a lot of people are going to just be like, well,
Mhm.
another nomination, that's the best we can do. Let's try to find a fresh new face that's doing something new inside this category. But then the question becomes, who else in this category has a winning angle? Because now officially, I think every other contender has been screened. And I don't think another contender has, at large at least, a win narrative behind them.
Yeah, it's really tricky with Ariana because I do think sight unseen, she makes the most sense. She was number two last year. Really, I believe should have won last year. She was fantastic in Wicked Part One. The issue that is holding me back here is the thing that I feel like stood out so much with her was her comedic chops in part one. And Glinda doesn't get that in part two. The second act, Glinda, is much more introspective, much more thoughtful. She doesn't get to be a little goofball, which is what Ariana really excelled at in the first one. And so while I think that if Ariana nails that and she knocks it out of the park and hits that emotional part of this role, then she could absolutely win. But at the same time, I worry that in some way the silliness of part one might make some people not be able to take the emotion of this part as seriously. I also worry, what if she can't pull it off in the way that she pulled off what she did in the first one, right? Like, what if the act one airy fairy goofball Glinda was where Ariana's performance excelled the most? I think there's a chance that I mean, we haven't seen Ariana Grande do like the serious emotional acting that is required of Glinda in Act Two. I'm hoping, praying, fingers crossed that she knocks it out of the park and we have a sweeper here. But there's a possibility that it doesn't work out that way. So right now, I don't have her at number one I think we do have two because I think we do have two films that we have seen that have narratives forming for the performers, and we've seen them. We know what they're doing. We know what they're putting forward. So for me, I'm going with Elle Fanning at number one. I mean, for one thing, this role shows a lot of range that I had not seen from Elle Fanning in the past. It's really delicate, and she approaches it with a level of nuance that I didn't expect to come from this character. When the character is introduced at the beginning of the movie, it would be really easy for Elle Fanning to play the role as sort of like a ditzy idiot who kind of represents everything soulless about a certain type of filmmaking, a certain type of celebrity. But she doesn't do that. She plays this role with so much nuance. It's a beautiful, beautiful portrayal of someone who embodies the insecurity of actors. And yeah, incredible stuff, incredible work. I feel like a lot of the industry really loves Elle Fanning stateside as well. I mean, this feels very, very good for a SAG award, in my opinion. And plus, being in sentimental value, you get some of the highbrow love there too. While I think critics will probably go much more towards Inga Ibsdottir Lilius, I feel like industry awards will go towards Elle Fanning.
I think going back to Fanning first, I think you make a great point about people stateside, especially the industry, really seems to take to her. Yes, she missed for a complete unknown last year, but she did win a major precursor in the critics circuit and was getting
Mhm.
consistent nominations at various parts in the stage last year for complete unknown. And I mean, she has been around since she was a kid, and now this could be seen as her biggest and her best performance in her career, which was one of my early reasons for throwing her up into my top three around when Cannes took place. But the win is what holds me back, is because I know that you prefer her, but I see a lot of other people out there go for Inga, and maybe it can work that way because like last year, I think at large, a lot of people early on leaned more towards Gascon and Amelia Perez more so than Zoe. But as the season went on, Zoe's the one who the campaign centered more around, and obviously she went supporting while Gascon
Mhm.
went lead. So we could have a similar situation with that. But I also think going back to Taylor as well. And I think going to Taylor, I think that she does have the juice in terms of the conversation around her for a win. The biggest thing is how much can one battle after another really win above the line in terms of the acting? Can it potentially be number one or number two in all four acting categories? And then it is the factor that she does to a lesser extent pull off a Mahershala Ali in Moonlight, where she dominates the first third. The rest of the film is directly as a result of her implications onto the story. It's just, I think, unlike Moonlight, you still think about Ali throughout, and he is undoubtedly the best performance in that movie. Well, in One Battle, no fault of Tiana Taylor, you have Sean Penn, you have Chase Infinity, you have Leonardo DiCaprio, you even have Benicio del Toro, who are all getting raised for this performance. So it's not all just centered around her as it was for Mahershala and Moonlight.
Well, I think that would have applied a lot more had Chase Infinity stayed in supporting actress, but going lead opens it up that really there is only one viable supporting actress to go for in one battle after another. I've heard some people saying Regina Hall. That is fucking insane. I'm
I agree.
sorry. That's not happening. She does not have enough material. I will eat my goddamn hat if Regina Hall gets a nomination for that movie. But Tana Taylor is the supporting actress, so she has no competition in her own movie in this category. There's no worry there for me. Now, to talk about Fanning versus Lilius, you know what that sounds a lot like, where people, by and large, the conversation is talking about how much people prefer the lesser known performer. But then, you've got this one who's really beloved in Hollywood who ends up doing more, ends up possibly winning the award. Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu. Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu. You've got Elle Fanning, who is widely known, widely loved, and then you've got Inga Ibsdottir Lilius, who is new. She's sort of entering in for the first time, and people are going, "Wow, she's really good." Um, I think they both get a nomination. But I feel like Elle Fanning is the representative that people know. And if people love sentimental value and they want to toss it a vote in this category, I think most people would go Elle Fanning, even though Ingabe's daughter Lilias does have her big emotional scene very near the end of the movie. Elle Fanning is the one that I think the industry will gravitate towards.
While I agree with that sentiment, I guess my one little small pushback to that comparison would be is I think a large reason, in addition to the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is probably more recognizable at large, is the fact that her performance resonates so much more with the older crowd inside the Academy.
Yes.
Obviously, this is a very small demographic to go off of, but between the various people I've watched Everything Everywhere with or discussed it with, most of the older crowd would pick Jamie Lee as their favorite performance, even over Ke Huy Quan. I think that speaks volumes, even though it's a small demographic base, of why Jamie Lee Curtis went on to win the Oscar that season. But obviously, I haven't seen Symptoms of Value yet. I'm sure they're both great. I'm sure they're both deserving. I get to see in like a week. Super excited for that. But I think that brings us to an end of the possible win contenders. And I would say also into the very sure nomination contender range. And I think just like in supporting actor, our fifth slot here even more so than supporting actors, who do you do? Because supporting actor, you have people who have either strong films or a possible strong narrative behind them. But here, it's kind of the opposite, where we're lacking a lot of the top Best Picture nominees, and we're having people who are either in very much genre movies or in movies that are pretty DOA on arrival. So, like, there's one film, Marty Supreme, it just screened. I think this is where we could get our fifth slot for. It just brings up the question of, are they going to go with the person who's getting the more raves inside of this specific film, or are they go with the person who has the more career narrative behind them that does have moments but isn't as big of a star inside this one specific movie?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Marty Supreme train here. The fact that there's two of them might split votes. I don't know. It's just neither of them are speaking to me right now as a nomination contender, and I think that the box office underperformance of the Smashing Machine is going to cloud people from the fact that it's getting a makeup nomination, and people still really like Emily Blunt and The Rock in that movie. So I'm riding with Emily Blunt. I think that she has everything she needs to get a nomination here. Yeah, it'll be a fringe nomination, but I don't see why the box office performance is the end of the world for that film. It did what it had to do, and people are still talking about the performances. So to me, that's where I'm leaning. I could see, I guess you're right that Marty Supreme could overthrow, take that final spot, especially because it is a big Best Picture contender. Um, I just need to know more about these performances. I need to know more because basically what I saw, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong things, but when the movie premiered, what I saw was just, wow, both of them have really small roles. I didn't see people talking about how good they were. I just saw people talking about how surprised that they were that they had nothing to do in the movie.
I guess the I saw that more so for Paltrow. I did see a few people really shout out Odessa inside the film, but also saying like this is the first time they've seen her. And when you take into that account, unless I guess this is a kind of the same argument for Inga, but I think Inga, at least we've seen throughout multiple festivals, is remaining people's either favorite or second favorite performance from that film. I think most of the conversation around Marty's all going to be around Timmy. And again, it's the first time people have seen her. And looking at this lineup here, even if you throw in Emily Blunt, who I have been on the train for, even after seeing the movie, it's just like the reception to that film, box office aside, is like people just not caring as much as what I was hoping to see for it when I initially had it in Best Picture. Is the fact that this lineup is so young. We don't have many people over the age of 40 and even in contention for here. So
And
like that
40 is still young when it comes to acting.
exactly. And then like you just go down the line of supporting actress contenders and like you look at other people like there's Rebecca Ferguson in House of Dynamite, but that film no one really cares about. Kiss of the Spider Woman just came out and bombed. Plus it's Lionsgate who has shown since Bombshell they don't know how to run a real campaign. And we talked about the One Battle Girls, and then that brings us to like Amy Madigan and Weapons, which I get the argument for it. I just don't see the argument coming to fruition there.
You're underrating her so much. She
I
has
might
industry
be.
support. She has industry love. it's a performance that stays with people, and Weapons is popular. I mean, if we think about movies that could perform extremely well with the guilds, Weapons is right there. Weapons can get a WGA nomination. Weapons can get into the PGA, possibly. The only thing to me holding Weapons back from more nominations is the fact that it is Warner Brothers' number 3 movie.
Hmm.
Otherwise, though, like that would be in the screenplay conversation. That would be in makeup conversation. That would be in multiple texts. Um, Amy Madigan is the best shot we've got, especially because she is a veteran actor who has never gotten her flowers. And we've seen time and time again that people in the industry will mount campaigns for their peers that they feel like have never had a shot before, and now is their chance. So, I mean, if we have one like Francis Fisher contender this year, I feel like Amy Madigan could be it.
As I was saying before, best lead actor, we have a chance to not award, I guess, a peer who's been in the industry for forever. We have a new young upstart who last year made the comparison. Will the Academy treat Timothy Chalamet like he is Leonardo DiCaprio Part 2? Or will they get ahead of the curve, righting their wrongs, giving him the win in just due time? Just, it wasn't for a complete unknown. Maybe, at least likely, it's seeming like it could be for Marty Supreme.
Yeah, Marty Supreme finally premiered. He's getting rave reviews for it. People are saying it's the best thing he's done so far in his very young career. And look, I mean, he's been in the conversation year in, year out, over and over again. Is this his time? Is it finally time to say, all right, Timmy, here you go. Here you are. You're in. Now, something that I will put forward is, do you think there's a possibility that Timmy gets hit with the backlash this year that Bradley Cooper got hit with, where he just wants it too much? What do you
No,
think about
be
that?
No, because I think the reason why Cooper got that backlash is because people didn't like the movie Cooper was doing. It's like, oh, it's a biopic. You're doing old age makeup. You're directing it. You're writing it. You're helping to shoot it. And you're starring in it. Dude, chill. We don't like Maestro. But the other thing, and I think this is one thing that we have to keep in mind for Marty Supreme, is the fact that people adore Timmy. I adore Timmy, but people at large adore Timmy. They also adore A24. And I think a lot of the people who were at that NIF premiere are the exact audience that Marty Supreme needs to succeed, which I think is a great
Mhm.
marketing strategy for A24. The thing I want to see with Marty Supreme is when more people see it, does it keep this ravenous appraisal where it's like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best movies of the year. It's Timmy's best thing he's ever done. It's so insane. It's so magical. Or does it cool off a little bit the further we go? Not saying it's going to make this trajectory, but we saw just at Venice stuff like A House of Dynamite gets raves 96 or something on Metacritic, and then it screens to another audience, and they're like, no, this isn't good. So like, I'm not saying Mario Supreme's going to drop off a cliff like that, but I think this was the exact audience they needed to make it sound like it's the best thing in the world. I'm not doubting anymore that it could be the best thing in the world, but I want to see someone else that isn't a Timmy diehard stan say it's the best thing in the world because we just had the first 30 minutes show in Regal Times Square of Timmy fans who went after seeing his Instagram story, which I wanted to go. I was in New York that day, but had something else to do. But I wish I could have seen Mars Supreme and see Timmy with all the ping pong bobbleheads.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone to that too, but I was too busy seeing Slam Frank. Shout out Slam Frank. Um, okay, so let's move on from Timmy to the big contender that could take him down, which is ironically Leonardo DiCaprio, who I mean, Timmy's kind of following that same trajectory that Leo had of like, when is he gonna win? He keeps delivering great performances. He gets nominated and he loses. When is he gonna win? And Leo had that going on for like 20 years and he finally won. And wouldn't it be funny if he was the one that took down Timothy Chalamet
You
here?
know, that's a great point because last year Timmy was vying to be the youngest Best Actor winner and lost to the previous youngest Best Actor winner of Adrian Brody. So history, it's stopping him 2 years in a row.
Exactly. But Leonardo DiCaprio here, the biggest thing going in his favor is look at what has happened for the past few years in relation to Best Picture winning films in the 2020s. Every single Best Picture winner except Coda has brought their lead along with them for an Oscar. Nomadland. Frances McDormand. Everything Ever All at Once, Michelle Yeoh. Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy. Anora, Mikey Madison. And if One Battle After Another is winning Best Picture, if it's not Hamnet, because that makes this very easy, Jesse Buckley, Hamnet go together. But if One Battle After Another is winning Best Picture, which we both think it is, then Leonardo DiCaprio gets that boost. We keep talking about the strongest film in a tight race wins. And so if that is the case, why would Timmy beat Leonardo DiCaprio if One Battle After Another is stronger and if this is a tight race?
And I think another thing going in Leonardo DiCaprio's favor is the fact that he, at least seemingly so, is campaigning. He did the press tour, which we haven't seen Leo do an official full out press tour like this since before COVID. And I mean, who's to say that that's going to stop before we get into the campaigning trail for award season? Yes, maybe we get down the line and he's pushing more of the love to Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity, Sean Penn, maybe, who knows? But it at least seems like he's going to be more centric on like, hey, I'm here too, unlike his last few films where like, hey, Lily Gladstone's here. Hey, Don't Look Up. It's such an important film and a relevant film for the time that we're in right now. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Hey, I'm working with one of the greats and Brad Pitt's really great in it too. Where here it seems like, no, I'm really great in this as well. But I think that concludes our win contenders in lead actor. Who knows? Maybe someone else can rise up the ranks. But I think lead actor is a category where we have the most people vying for spots 3 through maybe 10, where they all have one thing
Mm-hmm.
that's really vying for them. Is it they're in a biopic? Is it that they're in a strong film? Is it they're in a typical Beatty type role, or they're in an international flavor type movie, or giving a career best performance? But they all are in films that are on the downwards trajectory in the best picture race.
So a few weeks ago, I would have had Michael B. Jordan really far away from getting a nomination. It didn't feel like the type of work to me that would typically get in. It didn't feel like the type of role that needed an Oscar nomination. But hear me out here. So he just won the Santa Barbara International Film Festival Outstanding Performer Award. And the last time that someone won this award and did not go on to an Oscar nomination, I want you to guess when it was.
Trying to think. Let's go the weird year 2020.
2007.
Okay, even further back.
2007. Because last year was Ray Fiennes, then we had Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Kate Blanchett for Tar, Will Smith and Ingenue Ellis for King Richard. We had Sacha win for Borat and Trial of the Chicago Seven. So he got in for Chicago Seven, but he got it for two films. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, Marriage Story. Rami Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody. Allison Janney and Margot Robbie, I, Tonya. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, La La Land. Brie Larson for Room. Saoirse Ronan for Brooklyn. It just goes on and on and on and on. Michael B. Jordan won for Sinners this year. It is a flawless track record of getting nominations. This shows where the industry buzz is. It shows where the vibes are. It shows where people are looking, where people are talking. And Michael B. Jordan getting this award for this movie is huge for his awards chances. Do I think that it puts him in the win conversation? Absolutely not. But it makes me feel confident in saying he might be a lock at this point for a nomination.
I think it's so interesting the conversation around Sinners all year long because it went from like, oh, this is cool, but is it going to be an Oscar thing to it's sweeping Best Picture and all these texts, and people still didn't have Michael B. Jordan at the time. And then the season's gone on and on. And it's like, well, will it be Caden? Will it be Linda? Will one of the supporting actresses get in? But all along, maybe its acting representation above the line was Michael B. Jordan. I get people hesitance there because it's a very movie star type performance, but it is showy. It is acting bait. He's playing two separate characters inside the same movie that have their own unique traits and personalities and aspects, which is something that this branch typically does go out for. And I think that acting award, in addition to Center's strength in the Best Picture race, and the weakness of the overall top dogs inside the best lead actor category, Michael B. Jordan, I think, is a pretty easy number 3 at this point, at least.
Definitely number three. which is crazy. I never thought I would have been saying that. I never thought I would have been saying that. But I think it might go down to the point that Sinners is such an ensemble movie. Who do you pick out in the supporting cast?
The
You
guy
really
who has
can't.
two
So
performances.
yeah, I mean, but that's not supporting, right? Maybe you pick the one lead instead of saying, "Oh, well, I think Delroy Lindo had a really standout 15 minutes of screen time." You go, "Okay, well, who's the guy that's there the entire time?
Yeah.
Let's put him in. Let's put him in." So yeah, what do you think post Smashing Machines box office performance? What do you think about Dwayne Johnson here? Because I still feel great about him. I saw this with my entire class at film school. We had a Benny Safdie conversation and everything after the movie, and the one constant with all of my peers was even the ones that hated the movie said Dwayne Johnson, holy shit.
And my thoughts with the Smashing Machine is it's going to either be all encompassing, where it's The Rock, it's Emily Blunt, it's makeup, or it's going to end up being the ones that hit most of the precursors that end up missing at the end of the day, and it's just makeup, or maybe it's just one of the actors. And right now, I'm leaning towards The Rock and Emily Blunt are my sixes, and I want to put them in my five. But like I said, the very muted response upon release by both critics and general audiences at large. A24 seemingly acknowledging, hey, Smashing flopped. Let's screen Marty on the last day of Smashing's opening weekend to switch the buzz away from this movie to the other Safdie brother movie. And since in the last week, if you look at A24's marketing, they're posting about Marty every day. Smashing, the movie that came out less than 2 weeks ago, is already moving down their totem pole of priority posting on their social media accounts. Obviously, social media doesn't equate to box office, or sorry, social media doesn't equate to awards projections, but it's showing a sign of, hey, their prospects might be dwindling here. And as one of Smashing's strongest soldiers, I'm coming to grips that The Rock isn't going to win anymore, and he might not
No,
even get
he's starting to
nominated
win.
anymore. I think the biggest thing for Johnson is he needs to be someone who gets every precursor. I think if there is a crack in the armor, he misses SAG, he misses Critics' Choice, then I think that he just drops off in the season.
He needs SAG, he needs Critics' Choice, he needs Golden Globes.
Globe should
Um,
be assured since the category split, but we would
exactly,
hope.
category split. But I really think that to me, BAFTA is where I don't care if he's not there. But I agree
Mhm.
with you. He needs everything else.
And I guess the reason why I have Dwayne Johnson out is that I have moved Jeremy Allen White back into my top five in the best lead actor category. Springsteen is a movie that is tracking. Doesn't seem great for box office. I just talked so much about how The Smashing Machine was tracking amazing at the box office and then it fell off a cliff. Maybe Springsteen follows suit. It's tracking to open lower than what Smashing was, but maybe it holds more towards that. But with him being the only real acting priority or prospect for 20th century, they can focus stuff behind him. While
What are
A24,
you talking about, man? Michelle Yeoh and Avatar.
there we go. Yeah. But former Oscar winner Zoe Saldana, bring her back. Get her 2 years in a
Bring her
row.
back. Bring her
But
back. She should have been nominated for the first Avatar.
she should have won, but that's a different conversation. But Jeremy Allen White, I think, has had a very interesting career inside of the industry. While most of it has been on TV with The Bear and Shameless, he is a name and a face that you recognize. I think the biggest question mark of Deliver Me from Nowhere is this movie truly going to blink? And if it blinks,
Yes.
obviously he misses. But I feel like at its bare bones, I feel like Jeremy Allen White is its safest prospect amongst its potential haul that it can get. And maybe it soars and it finds its way back into the box off. It finds its way back into the best picture race after being a success with general audiences. And it can get picture and Jeremy Allen White, maybe screenplay casting like a tech or two. But at this point, I think it might just be Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah, so this is actually why I took Jeremy Allen White out and I put Dwayne Johnson back in because I think that there's no way that Smashing Machine doesn't get makeup.
Hmm.
And we've seen makeup correlate to acting prizes quite a lot. And so that's why I've got three nominations for Smashing Machine. I have zero nominations for Deliver Me From Nowhere. I have seen Deliver Me From Nowhere, and the vibe that I got from that movie was just, who is this for? It's a music biopic that doesn't want to be a music biopic. It really tries to get you in the door by being like, this is going to be a Springsteen movie. And it has no interest in being a Springsteen movie. It's like the anti Bohemian Rhapsody, which sounds like something that I should love. But ultimately, I just left feeling like why did you need to make this movie if you didn't want like it's just a movie about a musician being sad, making an album, and then it's over. There's very little conflict, there's very little drama. Jeremy Allen White does a good job. I don't think that he's stellar. It doesn't feel like it's his full abilities from what I've heard he delivers on The Bear. I haven't seen The Bear, so sorry, gonna be honest with that. Um, but to me, what I need to see to believe that Jeremy Allen White could be in here is I need to see Springsteen do well with its core audience. I need to see dads love this movie. And seeing the movie, I don't think dads will love this movie because anyone going in and being like, I want to hear the hits. I want a movie that's just wall to wall soundtrack with my favorite Boss songs. People are going to be pissed off. I don't think this is going to do well on Cinema Score. I don't think that its core audience is going to come out for it. And if you're a music biopic and you can't capture the popular audiences, you can't capture the dads who are nostalgic for their favorite music, who do you have? Who do you have? And Deliver Me From Nowhere right now, I don't think it has anyone.
I guess just going off the rest of this category, you might call me crazy for having Jesse Plemons still in my top five. Judgment Day is today for me. I see Begonia. By the time this video is posted, I'll have my thoughts. Plemons may stay top five. He may fall off. My reason for having him now is I still believe Focus can pull off two nominees. We've seen them do this in the past when they have two contenders. Typically, Focus is a studio that only brings one contender to the table. This year, some people may say they have three if you count Song Sung Blue.
Yeah.
And I think that if Begonia is a Best Picture player, its package is screenplay, Stone, Plemons. Boom. Now, if it misses out on picture, Plemons can slide out. Maybe Netflix works some magic, gets Jay Kelly in there with George Clooney. I've seen Jay Kelly. Clooney does Clooney stuff. He's good, but he's George Clooney. And then Wagner Moura, can Brazil succeed 2 years in a row? The buzz doesn't seem there, but I'm still here. Didn't have the buzz until very late last year. And then Is This Thing One just premiered as well. It sounds like the movie's good, not great. So can Arnett overcome maybe some genre bias of him being a comedian in his history and this film being very, very, very small and tender? Maybe that's enough for a fifth slot. But at that point, if I'm taking out Jesse Plemons, The Rock's right there, who is very showy.
Hear me out. Lee Byung-hun for No Other
That
Choice.
I think honestly, with how the people I just mentioned is, I think if No Other Choice becomes a viable contender, that he would leapfrog even Wagner Moura and be the giant international support in the Best Lead Actor category.
Also becomes a viable contender. I think it is a viable contender. I mean, it has done so well at every festival that it's been at. Let's not forget, it won the International People's Choice over Sentimental Value. It has been screening everywhere. It's been getting crazy audience reception. Everyone I've spoken to about the film has loved it, like over the moon, been obsessed with it. One of my friends told me it's his favorite movie he's seen in the entire decade so far. The buzz is real for this movie, and Neon seems to know what they're doing with it. They seem to be putting it in front of the right people in all the right places. The biggest thing going against Lee Byung-hun is what we typically see with these Asian movies that are in Best Picture, is that the actors don't come along with them. Parasite, we had no actors. Drive My Car, we had no actors. Have things changed post Everything Ever All at Once? I don't know, maybe, but I think it's still worth having some hesitance about whether a Park Chan-wook movie needs to bring an actor along. But he also got the TIFF Tribute Award for performance, which has had quite a good track record outside of slipping up a few times. So to me, I feel good about Lee Byung-hun, especially because I feel really good about No Other Choice. I think I have it top seven, top eight right now in Best Picture. So if I'm feeling that way, might as well have him in.
Fair enough. Now let's move to our final category, Best Lead Actress. I'm going to apologize in advance. We're kind of going to zip through this one because I have an interview to get to in about 10 minutes. So,
Oh, we're good. We're golden. Now, can I make it real quick here? Win contenders, Jesse Buckley, no one else.
I agree. There's people out there who's trying to make a case for other people. sure,
No.
but deny at your own peril. I think the fun thing gets to after your top three. I think Buckley, Arrivo, Reinsva, they're in.
Yeah.
Unless Wicked, I don't even know what Wicked could do to make Arrivo miss. I think Arrivo's just
No,
in.
she's in. She's in. She's not winning, but she's in. But like to me, I mean, every year we have one of these acting categories dominated by a sweeper where like there's no question mark going into the ceremony of like, oh, what could happen? That's Jessie Buckley this year. She's winning. She's winning every award. She's taking the Golden Globe. She's taking the BAFTA. She's taking Critics' Choice. She's taking SAG. Bam. Done. Wrap it up. Just give her the award right now. Nothing else is happening with this category. Like, people out there want to be funny and say Kate Hudson. Are you fucking serious? You're fucking serious? You're gonna put someone in a
Like,
Neil Diamond tribute band movie over Jessie Buckley, who has like decade best sweeper energy coming in? Like, what are you talking about? It's just Jessie Buckley.
and the thing with Kate Hudson isn't even like, oh, we wouldn't be clowning if you just had them as like your number two. That's fine. But like, we've seen Hamnet. We've seen the praise for Buckley. Buckley's a previous nominee. Hamnet arguably can win Best Picture. Hamnet is, or Buckley's role in Hamnet is bait. It's everything you need from a winner. So, like, I'm sure maybe Kate Hudson is great in Song Sung Blue, but you're going against, like you said, our yearly undeniable winner, unless something really weird happens. But they're both from Focus. Focus has seen the movie they have. Why are they gonna switch it up?
Yeah. And Arrivo, yeah, she's a lock. She can't win. She can't win. Defying Gravity is like her big moment in Wicked. I mean, she has no good deed in Act Two, but that's not going to be enough for a win. It is enough for her to be like the safest nomination, but she's not winning. Renata Reinsva, she's great. The role is too small, especially like if it was a 1-2, her and Arrivo, then yeah, Renata Reinsva could win, but it's too small of a role to go up against Jessie Buckley. Like you could arguably say maybe Renata Reinsva could be considered supporting if you really want to fraud it. Um, but yeah, no, Jessie Buckley, Jessie Buckley, Jessie Buckley. Amanda Seyfried. Let's talk about her quickly because now I've been proven wrong. Egg on my face. Egg on my fucking face. I was talking for months about how Anne Lee was not going to release this year. No one was going to buy it, and it was going to release in the spring of next year. Well, joke's on me. Searchlight Pictures does what they have never done, which is buy a film out of TIFF and release it before the end of the year. Searchlight has literally never done this before. They always buy in Sundance and they release before the end of the year, or they buy in TIFF and they release in the spring. So the impossible came true, and here's Amanda Seyfried. And I think she's undeniable. And honestly, want to hear something crazy? Because I was like the biggest denier of Anne Lee. I have it in picture.
Here's my thing is you say egg on your face, I take a bigger one. I drop this in film ball to keep after the hunt with
Yeah, that's
Julia Roberts.
fucking crazy.
Because not even just myself, not even that, all six of us had zero confidence of this movie coming out this year, but
Yeah.
Searchlight did it. And you say they haven't done this before, but they have done it one other time where they got Jackie out of Venice. And then
Oh, I thought
Jackie,
they came into Venice with
I
Jackie.
might be mistaken. I thought they had
I
purchased
don't know. I
I thought
don't
they had
remember
purchased
off the top
Jackie,
of my
but
head.
regardless, I think Anne Lee's biggest comparable right now is Jackie, where it could get Tex, it can get the lead actress, but the reaction to the movie seems mixed enough where it's going to be a bubble contender. And since this is a guaranteed lineup of 10, where the year of Jackie wasn't, maybe it is our 10. But
Yeah.
also, maybe it is the 11 or 12 and it's just Seyfried, or maybe it gets costumes or makeup. I've seen people say score, but I've also seen people say the score and the music is their least favorite part of the movie. So that's one I'm not really sure how to really read.
Hmm.
After The Brutalist last year, he just won. Victory lap, year number two, kind of like Volker with All Quiet coming back with Conclave. Maybe we see something like that this year. Maybe it's on the outside looking in. Anne Lee, I think it's going to be the most interesting film looking at the next few months. Searchlight bought the movie. They're doing everything in their power to get in front of people. Virginia lineup was announced, added to Virginia. Chicago lineup was announced, added to Chicago. They're adding it to so many regional film festivals. Philadelphia, the same thing. They're making sure people see this movie. It's just, is the movie something they want to see? The reaction so far says Seyfried is something you want to see. The movie itself has positives, but also has a little bit of a sheen in it where you may be a little bit more reserved. But you could also say that same thing with Emma Stone and Begonia, where she's getting
Yeah.
raves, but the movie itself seems a little weird. Right now, Begonia has higher scores than Anne Lee. Begonia comes out on release in about a week or so. I think that is the make or break point for the movie. This seems like a film that is, I would say, destined to be more well liked by the type of audience that would go out to see Begonia than what some of the early reactions were for. Kind of like Frankenstein, what we've seen from that is the critics, the highbrow people at the festival, like, this isn't as good as your previous work. With the more common people who go see is like, no, this is fun. This is cool. I like this. And I think that's kind of where Frankenstein has been made and saved and where Begonia could continue to be saved. But if you do have Emma Stone on the outside looking in, maybe you have Rose Byrne for a movie that A24 isn't doing much promo for, but she's getting so much press for, and I think that she could overcome the lack of promo. Maybe you have Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue, or what most people have after the category was announced, Chase Infinity in your lead actress lineup, which I think could happen, but I also think that this is the most faulty one battle after another Oscar nomination in the four acting categories.
I agree with you. Chase Infinity is so on the fence because like she's an unknown, she's young. It is a huge risk to put her in. It's a huge risk to nominate her. Um, I think she would be very worthy of the nomination, but I don't have her in right now. I think Rose Byrne, critics are going to be make or break for her. I just saw the movie. She's phenomenal, dude. She's what you were saying, Jennifer Lawrence in Die My Love would be.
Mhm.
That is what Rose Byrne actually is.
Well, I think that's going to bring us to an end of our post festival best acting predictions. Hopefully, we'll get around to doing director and screenplay and casting a little bit quicker than we did last time. But,
Yeah.
Matt, do you have anything else to add?
No, no, thanks for your patience, y'all. We're not uploading as much as we typically would be. Especially like it's crazy that we're so slow uploading right now because this is when the season is the fastest. But like Dylan said, we both got crazy lives going on right now. So just stay tuned. We're gonna keep making stuff. We're gonna keep putting stuff out there. And as always, we thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. My name is Matt.
This has been Fantasy Filmball. I'm Dyl. Bye.